Did you know that the EV market in Germany is going through a downward slope? Scarce charging stations and shrinking subsidies have already contributed to a slowdown in Germany's rollout of electric vehicles. Now the EV industry is bracing for another potential roadblock. Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government had earmarked some $231 billion through 2027 for projects including charging stations, battery plants, and semiconductor factories. A surprise ruling by the nation's top court has upended fiscal planning and raised doubts as to whether all the funds will still be available. 241,883 new cars were registered in Germany in December, a 23% decrease from the previous year. Industry associations assert that the early elimination of the environmental bonus for the purchase of electric vehicles was the reason for the disturbance. The country saw its greatest registration decline in December 2023, which put a bitter close to a largely favorable year. According to the Kraftfahrt-Bundesamt's most recent data, the number of registered cars in 2023 was 2.84 million, 7.3% more than in 2022 during the entire year. The German government immediately terminated EV subsidies on December 17th, and no new applications for the environmental bonus were taken into consideration. Following discussions on the Climate and Transformation Fund, which resulted in the budget of the fund being cut by 60 billion euros, the action was taken. The government promised to process all funding applications received before the deadline. Nonetheless, industry associations considered the withdrawal to be a serious worry. According to a ZDK survey, the abrupt termination of the bonus had an impact on up to 60,000 EV purchases. According to the data, 30,000 electric cars will be available for delivery by the end of 2023. Concurrently, agreements had been reached to acquire an additional 30,000 units, with delivery slated for 2024. The trust in an understandable and rational federal government policy to promote electromobility has been massively damaged. "You cannot deal with industry or small and medium-sized businesses like that," said ZDK President Arne Joswig. "We need a clear and predictable funding policy in order to regain the trust of customers. To do this, politicians must show us viable and reliable ways to at least get close to the postulated goal of 15 million electric vehicles by 2030. Joswig added. The average annual rise in CO2 emissions from automobiles in Germany is 4.9% or 114.9 g per kilometer. This represents the first increase in average emissions since WLTP was implemented in 2019 and annualized reporting started. To help cut its emissions, the nation will have to rely on the sale of low and zero-emission vehicles, a task that would be more challenging in the absence of purchasing incentives. Many reports and surveys suggest that EV owners are facing serious problems with maintenance and repair and are thinking about switching back to combustion engines. Let's go into some real-life problems faced by EV owners. Wall Street Journal revealed that a San Francisco resident named Scott McFiggin got a repair bill of $22,000 after his neighbor backed into his Rivian pickup truck. EV owners like McFiggin are facing a surprising downside to their new vehicles, as they tend to be expensive to fix after a crash. Even a slight dent takes a lot of money to fix. So what is the main problem here? As the technology behind electric vehicles is still developing, there aren't an adequate number of qualified repair persons and workshops that can repair your EV. When there is a lack of professionals, fixing an EV may cost you an arm and a leg. Also, the average repair cost of an EV in the US is $6,587 compared with $4,215 for other vehicles. This makes EVs not affordable to an average US family, and repairing them takes months. On top of that, there was another report saying that a man was unable to drive his EV as there were complaints about the engine due to the cold weather. So the question is, if you are living in a cold climate area or a cyclone-prone area, and you don't have access to the power grid and you run out of batteries, what are you going to do? Unless you have a combustion engine vehicle, you can get in trouble in such a situation. This makes us think that EVs are not replacements for combustion engine vehicles, but they are supplementary. Here comes the importance of hybrid vehicles. According to a recent survey, almost half of Americans say they are unlikely to buy an electric car as their next vehicle due to the high price and shortage of charging locations. Merely 19% of participants in the survey conducted by the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs Research, and the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago stated that it is very or extremely likely that they will purchase an electric vehicle as their next vehicle. According to the survey, almost 80% of people say that not having access to charging infrastructure is the main reason they haven't purchased an electric vehicle. People from urban, suburban, and rural areas all shared this issue. According to Jennifer Benz, Deputy Director of the AP Norkey Center, there is plenty of interest in purchasing an electric vehicle, but barriers to more people driving them include the high upfront cost of owning one and concerns about the country's charging infrastructure. Building support for an EV future will require policies that address these concerns. Affordability is another concern. EVs continue to be significantly more expensive than their combustion counterparts, despite declining costs and the U.S. introducing tax benefits. The cost is too high for the typical American automobile buyer, as loan rates are at a two-decade high. The results coincide with the Biden administration's vigorous efforts to increase EV sales and move the nation toward renewable energy. In an effort to reduce emissions and slow down climate change, the White House has set a target that by 2030, up to half of all new car sales will be electric. Speaking about climate change, it should be understood by now that electric cars are only as clean as their power supply. Experts debate whether, when manufacturing and battery life are taken into consideration, electric automobiles are more environmentally harmful than gas guzzlers. The market for electric cars has never been more mainstream thanks to a variety of new models from well-known automakers like Toyota and Chevy, as well as California's subsidies for electric car consumers. Tesla's emphasis on high-end, luxurious automobiles has increased demand for their products. Electric cars are now more than just an environmental statement. They're now a status symbol in the IT industry. However, when the production process for the automobiles and their batteries are taken into consideration, some experts find the zero emissions claim irritating. They have continued to debate whether or not electric cars are truly more environmentally benign than gas guzzlers. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it entertaining, then don't forget to hit that like button below. And if you want to stay updated with more great content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the red button and just ringing the notification bell so you never miss any future content from us. Your support means the world to us.